Good afternoon, everybody. Please, can you take your seats? Agenda item 5, report of the meeting. We shall now move on to the consideration of agenda item 5, report of the meeting, and consider our report summarising the main outcomes of this meeting. I would like to recall that in advance of our discussion, the Secretariat has circulated a short draft report on this item. I am now going to turn to each paragraph of the report and ask for any comments from the IGWG on these paragraphs. If everybody is content, we will then green each paragraph, one paragraph by paragraph. Please could the text editor move to paragraph 1. Unless there are any comments, I will take it that everybody is content with this first paragraph, which is a factual description of when we met and the members of the Bureau. Paragraph 1 can be greened. Please can we move to paragraph 2, which is a summary of the speech that Dr. Chikwe gave at the opening of the IGWG back on Monday. Once again, a factual description of what he said in that opening session. I take it there are no comments on this paragraph, and I will therefore request that this is greened. We now move to paragraph 3, which states that agenda item 3 was deleted because there were no proposals received under this item and it was therefore not discussed. I assume there are no comments on this factual paragraph, and on that basis it will be greened. I now move to paragraph 4, which outlines the different agenda items and which were held in closed session and which were held in open session and who attended these different sessions. I take it that there are no comments on paragraph 4, in which case it will be greened. We now move to paragraph 5. Paragraph 5, once again, factually outlines that we continue negotiations on the basis of the on-screen text from the resumed session at the 4th meeting, and also highlights that informal discussions were held regarding a proposal for the terms of reference for the coordinating financial mechanism. I take it that there are no comments on this paragraph. It can therefore be greened. Now move to paragraph 6. Paragraph 6 outlines with regards to next steps, and indeed the mandate of this IGWG, of course, is to submit its outcome to the 79th World Health Assembly. IGWG members agreed to hold informal discussions during the intersessional period, including discussions focused on elements to ensure legal certainty, including the consideration of contracts with a view to finding common understanding. There is then a reference to continuing to facilitate informal focused discussions with all IGWG members and to present proposals for sections of text for the draft annex as soon as possible in advance of the 5th meeting of the 6th meeting of the IGWG. The IGWG also requested the Secretariat to provide further technical information and to prepare those references on the WHO Coordinated Laboratory Network and the PABS recognised databases, and to propose viable approaches for possible recognition of such databases. Just going to check that there are no comments on this paragraph. There are no comments, and therefore this paragraph is greened. We now move to paragraph 7, which factually says the IGWG adopted its report, which we are about to do, and the co-chairs closed the meeting, which we are about to do. I think in understanding that is about to happen, I want to take it that on this we can be ready to green and accept the whole report in line with the comments raised. I see no objection. It is therefore so decided. This concludes our consideration of agenda item 5. We will now turn to agenda item 6, closure of the session, and I will turn to Ambassador Tovar to open this item.
Thank you. I would now like to invite the Director General for closing remarks. Dr. Tredges, you have the floor.
Thank you to our co-chairs, and thank you also to the members of the Bureau for this opportunity. And of course, thank you to all our member states for the commitment you have shown, and also the hard work over the past week, of course, since the beginning. IMB, as you remember, when we were almost close to the finish line, things seemed impossible, but that was turned into possible. So I know you can also turn this into possible, and you can do it. Of course, there are some outstanding issues, and they will not be easy. But as you have said many times, I think the next 5 to 6 weeks will be very, very crucial. And during this 5 to 6 weeks, especially during this intersessional period, as you have agreed in your report, the informal discussions you will have will really help. It will help in understanding each other's perspectives and concerns, and it will help also in building trust. But I urge you to approach these intersessional informal discussions with a win-win mentality and can-do mentality. And above all, I said it earlier in the morning, things may not be perfect based on your needs, but as long as you can live with them, I think accepting and moving forward could help in identifying the middle space or the landing zone that you always say. So, of course, building trust and going to or taking win-win as a principle will need a very honest discussion. So that's what I would like to suggest. By the way, I have tried to speak to some of you. You have ideas, of course, that you have shared during the formal discussions. But I think an in-depth exchange in a smaller group and an honest discussion can help to address the pending issues. And the trust, I think yesterday I met some colleagues who said trust between each other and trust in the Bureau. And of course, with some of the recommendations you're making, trust in your organization, the WHO Secretariat, will be very, very important. And then finally, as you know, today is not only a Saturday, which I am sure you would have preferred to spend with your families. It's also Valentine's Day, so don't forget to remember your loved ones. Because when we're stuck with this heavy responsibility, I know what happens. So your presence here demonstrates your love for multilateralism, for global health, and for humanity. But as I said, it's Valentine's Day. You're showing love to multilateralism, so don't forget your private life as well. So let us live with that message, the love for humanity, and hope for a better tomorrow. And safe travels, and see you on 23rd March, I think. Of course, we will meet during the intersessional, but I think the formal will be on the 23rd to finish the job. So thank you so much. Safe travel.
Thank you very much, Mr. Director General, for your inspiring words. Today, our loved one is WHO and its centrality in the multilateral system. I think we have put our private life on hold, but there's still time to catch up. Before we proceed to the formal closure of this meeting, may I ask the membership if there is any delegation wishing to take the floor? Zimbabwe, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, DG. Thank you, everyone. The Africa Group Plus would like to say a few words, just to say as we draw this drafting session of the PAPS Annex to a close, we wish to acknowledge the frank reflections shared by the Director General regarding the trust deficit that continues to shape our discussions. Trust cannot be mandated through text alone. It must be built through transparency, mutual accountability, and a genuine recognition of each other's concerns. The progress we have made demonstrates our shared commitment, yet it is quite clear that important issues remain unresolved and require further focused dialogue. We should view this not as a setback, but as a necessary step in forging a balanced and durable outcome. Let us therefore commit to continued engagement, grounded in good faith, flexibility, and respect, so that the PAPS Annex can ultimately reflect both equity and solidarity and command the confidence of all parties. I thank you.
Thank you to the distinguished representation of Zimbabwe. I would like then to offer the floor to members of the Bureau if they would like to say a few words before Matt Harper has that opportunity. Also, we also want to convey Dr. Hanan's greetings and also thank her for her leadership and role in our deliberations. We'd like to thank all the vice chairs and Madeleine, Ambassador Dlamini, and Dr. Viroj for, together with facilitators, to all of you that have made all of our works possible, and for the very enriching suggestions, ideas, and contributions that you have brought to our discussions. Matt, you have the floor before we close. I'm sorry, European Union.
Thank you very much, Co-Chair. We would like to thank the Bureau and the Secretariat and the Member States for all our collective work. I hope it's settled now. Yes? Excellent, thank you. We are concerned and we are sure that many delegations... So, as I was saying, we are concerned and we are sure that many delegations in this room share this view about the lack of progress in the discussion this week. We have only a few days remaining, as we all know, for formal negotiation, and there is a risk that we run out of time. We trust, therefore, the Bureau to organize effectively the intersessional period, as we have very little time to lose. To enable success, we need to show pragmatism in giving effect to the agreement that was reached last year in Article 12. And importantly, we need to focus on public health priorities. On additional matters where, after long deliberations, agreement cannot be reached, we need to agree to disagree. From the side of the EU and its member states, we remain determined to establish a PAP system that is meaningful, implementable, and that will make a real difference on the ground for PPR. This means a PAP system with the access and benefit sharing on an equal footing that enhances and facilitates access to pathogens with pandemic potential, at least to some recognizable extent, and thus supports surveillance, scientific investigation, and research and development. And at the same time, a system that improves on the status quo and that provides benefit sharing by contributing to a more effective response in case of a new pandemic by better equipping the WHO to ensure more equitable access to medical countermeasures. This can only be realized if the PAPS system attracts participation of private entities, especially VTD manufacturers, but also, in particular, research institutions. Only realistic demands and workable approaches will encourage participation in the system. A PAP system without contracts will not lead to more equitable access to medical countermeasure to the detriment of global public health. On the contrary, a PAP system that successfully attracts the participation of researchers and companies will result in strengthened health security and be a historic success for global health and for the WHO. This success is within reach, and we should remain focused on it. Thanks.
Our thanks to the distinguished delegation of the European Union. Is there any other delegation before I give the floor to Ambassador Dlamini? Switzerland, please.
Yeah, thank you, Co-Chair. And thanks to the Bureau and the Secretariat for all the efforts, really appreciate it. It's been a long week and it's the Olympic Games, so lots of skiing happening, and I think everyone will be happy to go back to private life as well. So despite the tireless and extensive commitment of delegations throughout the whole week, we must acknowledge, I believe, that IGWG 5 has delivered little real progress. We would wish to remind delegations that at WHA in May 25, we collectively agreed on a strong pandemic agreement. No one was 100% happy with it, but this is the nature of consensus, and it's the very essence of a multilateralism that delivers results. And in the current geopolitical context, multilateralism is more than ever in need of strong consensus. So let's continue working towards it. The pandemic agreement also remains the foundation and the frame for these negotiations on the annex and for the effective operationalization of Article 12 in a fair, transparent, accountable and equitable manner. Switzerland stands ready to discuss how this operationalization can be done in a way that is fit for the purpose of public health. So going forward, we believe it's essential that countries engage intensively in discussions to identify possible middle ground, and that member states with core interests meet to better understand each other's positions. This will require trust, it will require political will, but let's also remind ourselves that we don't have to start from scratch. We can build on previous initiatives and discussions. And engaging in that spirit will enable us to return, hopefully with greater clarity, to refine a text that will allow us to deliver a PAP system that can function effectively, that is fit for purpose, and that truly supports PPPR. Thanks.
Our thanks to the distinguished delegation of Switzerland. I now offer the floor to Namibia, please.
Thank you, Co-Chair. Namibia wishes to equally express its appreciation to you, the Bureau, and the Secretariat for your tireless efforts in guiding our deliberations during this session. We also thank all delegations for their constructive engagement. Co-Chair, we have made progress and we acknowledge this. However, Namibia wishes to emphasize that the true measure of this instrument will not be found in the elegance of its language, but in whether it delivers genuine equity in practice, particularly for those nations and communities that bear the burden of pathogen sharing, yet remain last in line when medical countermeasures are developed. The PAP system must not become a framework of obligations for some and optionality for others. Definitions and terms matter. Loopholes in the text will be exploited, and it is the most vulnerable who will pay the price. We therefore call upon all parties to approach the remaining work with the urgency and political will that our peoples expect of us. Namibia therefore reaffirms its commitment to a pandemic agreement that is anchored in solidarity, sovereignty, and equity, not merely as aspirational principles, but as operational realities. In conclusion, we look forward to continuing this critical work and stand ready to engage constructively toward a successful outcome. I thank you.
Thank you, the distinguished representation of Namibia. I now give the floor to Germany.
Thank you, co-chair. And the first thing I'd like to do is to thank the entire Bureau and obviously the co-chairs for their strong commitment, the entire Secretariat for all the work you've done. I think it's worth mentioning that there's very much that combines us all in this room on a Saturday afternoon. We are all truly committed to finding a successful implementation of Article 12 of the Pandemic Agreement. We've all come here and brought with us enormous energy and resources in order to pave the way to making this a success. And still, we are slightly frustrated by the lack of progress. I think everybody has mentioned that. I believe more time will not make the trick here. Yeah, we need a new dynamics in the negotiations. It's very clear, and many before me have mentioned that, the window of opportunity, the political window of opportunity to making this a success is shrinking, it's diminishing, and it will potentially end in May. Yeah? But still, we need to deliver something, and that's very clear, for the UN high-level meeting on PPPR in September. It would be a cause of frustration and shock to the world if we were unable to deliver a fully PAPS system by then. The time is running up. However, we remain optimistic that this is possible with the remaining 6 days. What do we need? We need a real focus on pragmatism, and we need a real focus on feasibility. 6 days is possible for this, yes, but only if we focus on convergence. If we leave out things where there will not be a consensus, not now, not tomorrow, and potentially not in a year's time. This is doable, and we believe the Bureau will need to focus us and steer us to the consensual landing zones. We have a very, very capable Bureau with great co-chairs. We are in your hands. Please steer us. I think you have the mechanisms in hand. The DG, you mentioned today is Valentine's Day. Valentine is the day of love. Love is the basis of hope, trust, and optimism. And this is why we remain optimistic that we will deliver something by May. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you also for this very uplifting message. I think all of us appreciate the words, and thank you for the generous words addressed to the Bureau. I now give the floor to Brazil.
Chair, we remain optimistic. Brazil thanks the Bureau and the Secretariat and Member States for their work in advancing this process. We have heard concerns expressed by some delegations regarding the perceived lack of progress. In our view, progress is best ensured when we build on existing consensus, rather than revisit settled issues. We cannot accept the reopening of provisions that have already been agreed in the pandemic agreement. Backtracking on established consensus undermines trust, weakens the negotiation process, and delays the delivery of results that the international community urgently expects. Calling for pragmatism is not enough. We must exercise pragmatism. This requires consistency, transparency, and respect for agreed outcomes. For this reason, we have consistently called for meetings to be live webcasts, as transparency strengthens accountability, build trust among member states, and reinforce the legitimacy of our work. Brazil remains committed to constructive engagement and to advancing a strong and credible pandemic agreement. Thank you.
Our thanks to the distinguished delegation of Brazil. If there's no other member state wishing to take the floor, there's a request from the Third World Network. And with your permission, I will then give the floor to the stakeholder Third World Network. You have the floor.
Thank you, Co-Chair. It is not appropriate to take floor when all of you, after a long week, planning to go back to your families, that too on a Valentine's Day. However, Third World Network wants to communicate that when we meet for IGWG 6, that we are really concerned about certain things, especially there is a tendency to think that whatever one can be done on the resources taken, including materials and data taken from biodiversity-rich countries, sometimes even anonymously. This is nothing but misappropriation and biopiracy. Interestingly, we also see no proposal to ensure access to VTDs under predetermined ABS agreements. So we stress IGWG to design PAPs, which changes the status quo with respect to access to VTDs and not to convert it into an instrument of biopiracy. We really believe all the countries in this room would be able to do this and deliver as a great PAPs system, which we would be able to rely in the future. Thanks, DG. Thanks, DG. Thanks for us, coaches. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And through you, may I just express our appreciation for all stakeholders for their constant support and also ability to guide us in our deliberations. I would now like to invite Ambassador Dlamini to take the floor.
Thank you very much, Co-Chair and dear Director General of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros. Dear colleagues, I haven't prepared any speech as such, but I always find it opportune for me to have to say a few words to you because we know each other, we come a long way. I just want to say this. We have been endowed with this rare opportunity, very rare opportunity to lead this vital responsibility that rests on our shoulders. And we cannot fail. We certainly cannot fail. It's always been said from those who came before us, President Mandela in particular, it seems impossible until it's done. We can do this, and we will do it. We just have to remain ardent to the cause. We know that there could be some challenges along the way, but it's still within us to overcome these challenges. We have this rare opportunity which we must always use. I recall the DG once said that the most precious gift that you can give humanity is health. This is the responsibility that we have, all of us. Yesterday I spoke about the issue as regarding humanity. Humanity is about I am because we are. It remains like that, and it will never change. And we need to embrace that we need to be always content with what we've been given. Again, I would have believed, and I strongly still believe, that the only concept that could appeal to all our consciences gathered here is the concept of equity, which is the foundational basis for justice. Please, let's do justice to ourselves and to the future generations. I thank you, and may you all be blessed and have a happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you, Ambassador Dlamini. As you return to your home in the Kingdom of Eswatini, wish you safe travels. We now have a request from Pakistan. Pakistan.
Thank you very much, Co-Chair. We would also take this opportunity to thank you for your indulgence and with the indulgence of all, vice chairs. We would also like to thank, I think the interpreters have gone, but everybody who has facilitated our exchanges. If they're still around, thank you very much. Chair, we would like to take this opportunity to say a few points. We must respond clearly to some suggestions that some delegations are delaying progress or acting without pragmatism. I think that characterization, in our view, is neither fair nor accurate. Our engagement has been consistent, constructive, and solutions-oriented. Raising legitimate concerns about equity and balance should not be seen as obstruction. It is responsible negotiation, in our view. If progress, as per the view of some of our colleagues, is slowed, it is not because of a lack of pragmatism. It is because flexibility has not been demonstrated on certain core issues that are fundamental to developing countries. Equity, predictable benefit sharing, licensing, tech transfers are not peripheral demands. They are the very foundation of a credible PAP system. In our view, consensus cannot be built by asking some to lower their expectations while others preserve their red lines. True pragmatism, in our view, requires movement from all sides. Inflexibility on key principles is what divides us here, not the insistence that those principles be respected. Having said that, Co-Chair, we remain ready to engage, to compromise where possible, and to work intensively toward agreement. But let us be clear, agreement must be balanced, fair and reflective of shared responsibilities. That is not delay. That is the path to a durable and legitimate outcome. Thank you very much.
Thanks to the distinguished delegation of Pakistan. I now offer the floor to Kenya.
Mr. Co-Chairs, Vice Chairs, the Bureau, colleagues, good afternoon. I'm constrained to take the floor and apologies, but I think we just need to leave this room, especially on this day, with a bit of more upbeat in our thinking. Obviously, I align myself with the statement that has been done by Zimbabwe on behalf of the African group, but just to say, trust deficit has to be addressed. But this, again, as has been said, we'll have to take different approaches. But I think in the coming 6 days, and we've done this before, we just need to align our values and our goals. And I think the DG has said it very well in having a win-win as our principle and guiding light. But also, as we take the break and prepare for the next session of IGWG, we need to come back with very practical, pragmatic, and constructiveness in our deliberations. The time for long-winded conceptual discussions is long gone. We all know that. I think if we just stick to the text, stick to the values that has been said of what we did and what is the mandate of this IGWG, the development of an annex to the pandemic agreement. With that, I wish you all safe travels, and for those of us remaining here, I wish that we could have greater interactions so that we can be able to reduce this trust deficit before we get into the next IGWG session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kenya, it's always good to end on good tone, that with lower tension, with kisses and hugs rather than kicks and slaps. Now, I would like to offer the floor to Madeleine, Vice Chair Madeleine Hayworth. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Tovar, and just intervening in the same spirit as Ambassador Dlamini. We've been together in this process since the beginning. This time last year, we were on the other side of the table. So just a couple of things. I mean, it's been a frustrating week. I think we've made much less progress than we wanted to make. But two things I wanted to say. But people keep saying 6 days. Yes, but no, we have 6 weeks. This is our window. The next 6 weeks is our window. It's up to you as negotiators to come together and agree this. Our job as the Bureau is to help you find each other, not to impose anything on you, but to create the conditions for you to listen to each other and find common ground. I think the DG and many colleagues just now have stressed the importance of trust. This is the only way that the IGWG can reach consensus. We can facilitate or be part of your conversations in the next 5 weeks, as much or as little as you want, but please talk to each other. And the second thing is maybe just to recall another moment in this room for you to keep in your minds these next 6 weeks. It was a little more than 4 years ago. Every one of us was wearing a mask. We were seated 1 meter apart from one another. Many of us had lost people we loved to COVID-19. Our communities were devastated. We met here in a special session of the Assembly to start negotiating the pandemic agreement, and we were very clear on why we were here. So let's please stay focused on why we're here, come together, finish the agreement that we adopted last year, not focusing on elegant language, as our Namibian colleague said, but a real outcome that will work in practice, that will deliver. Let's keep that our goal, and we can do it together. Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair Madeleine. With your permission, and I think I may voice also your wish to thank the Sherpas that help us immensely in the invisible force that together with the whole team of the Secretary, I also invite a round of applause to the Secretary. So before formally proceeding to the closure of the session, I offer the floor to Co-Chair Matt Harper.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Tovar. I feel actually after those last interventions, there's not much more to say. They were so eloquent. But I think firstly I was going to say, just like Vice Chair Madeleine was just saying and other speakers have, the reminder of why we're here post the COVID pandemic, but also to ensure what we agreed last May in the pandemic agreement becomes reality. I think speakers have rightly focused on, I think as you said, Madeleine, as well, a lack of progress this week and the frustrations around that, about how much there is to do. But speakers have also remembered what we achieved last year. You've also shown optimism. You've also shown what we can do in these next 6 weeks and at the next IGWG at the end of March. So we absolutely must also hold that optimism as we work together going forward. Thank you, Director General, for your words about the importance of honest discussion, the importance of exchange. I think, as Kenya said, building trust. And we absolutely need to be doing that in these coming weeks, both here in Geneva and back in different capitals as we work together. I think it's only right to say thank you to, I think we've already applauded the Secretariat, the Sherpas, thank you so much to the interpreters, I should add as well. And thank you so much to all of you, because whatever the challenges, the good moments, the more challenging moments, every single person in this room has worked tirelessly, many of you over the last 4 years, and in the course of this week, continually looking to try and make progress. The commitment in this room, we massively appreciate as a Bureau, and with all the expertise that you bring. I think it is only right on this Valentine's Day to also recognise our families, many of us who travel here, leave them for a week or longer time on end. Also those who have to work into the evening, work on a Saturday, and we need to recognise the sacrifice of our families as we make this progress and to thank them. But I just want to underline our commitment as a Bureau. We've had the report, we've got the different tasks that we need to take ahead, our absolute commitment to working with you. This is a member-led process. And of course, with our stakeholders, I echo Ambassador Tovar's thanks to you as well. But we're committed to working with you on all the hard work we've got to do. But we're committed to working with you to make progress and to get there at that next IGWG at the end of March. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Co-Chair Matt. In addition to, may I just, as we approach the closing of this session, ask you to convey to Ambassador Kumar that His Excellency, the Ambassador of the UK, who co-hosted the reception on the first day of our meeting. It was not in the report, but I think it was in our minds that it was a good moment for us to actually interact with a spirit that is other than just pure negotiation. Please convey to Ambassador, to His Excellency and dear friend, Ambassador Kumar. Now, in addition to Valentine's, in my country, it's Carnival time. So that is a celebration of joy and life. That's the spirit I want you to leave with. That's when we put all of our sorrows on hold and then try to just celebrate what is best in life. Thank you once more to all of you for your efforts, and we will be seeing you shortly in our interactions during the intersessional period. And with that, I now proceed to the formal closure of this meeting.